Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we're going to continue our analysis of the Russian-Ukrainian war, and today we're going to look at casualties and the number of wounded and killed in action in terms of both sides in this horrific ongoing conflict. Now, if you look at reports of Russian casualties, you would think, especially here in the West, that Russia is losing the conflict, and we're probably just a few weeks away for the entire Russian military to collapse and the Ukrainian armed forces to then overrun the Crimea and the eastern separatist areas. Well, that is not going to happen, and I do not believe here, and we at MFAM do not believe that that the Russians have sustained those kinds of casualties. So, for instance, the Ukrainian government believes that Russia has suffered 37,000 killed and upwards to 98,000 to 117,000 wounded. So that's probably the quickest way for Ukraine to lose credibility, is to report those kinds of inflated numbers. Because if the Russians have lost that many personnel, then it's highly probable the Ukrainians have lost also that many personnel. Obviously, in the earlier stages of the conflict, the Russians did lose more personnel than the Ukrainians, especially in some of the engagements that took place in the north. And then the Russians fairly quickly then started to adapt its strategy to the strategy of the way the Ukrainians were fighting its defensive war. And then you also have other reports that, and probably the most reasonable reports, are actually coming from the Donetsk People's Republic, and that number is actually still kind of high considering the amount of forces that the Donetsk People's Republic fielded going into the conflict, and they report 2,343 killed, 9,663 wounded. That's a high number of losses for the Donetsk People's Republic. And then you add that to the following in BBC News Russia and Meduza out of, I think it's Latvia. It's out of one of the Baltic states. Obviously not pro-Russian, but they report based on documented reports coming out of Russia that indicate 4,515 Russians have been killed in the ongoing conflict. And I've seen other reports that indicate just about 900 members of the Russian VDV, the airborne forces, have been killed in action. And then about 800 to 860, I believe it was, of Russian motorized infantry have been killed in the ongoing conflict. So you take that 4,515 and you add that to the 2,343. So you're just under 7,000 Russians killed, and you're probably going to have to multiply that by 3 for wounded, and that's probably a more accurate assessment of Russian casualties. The U.S. estimate was 16,000 killed by the 15th of June. And Ukrainian losses, again, things changed after the Russians transitioned from north of Kiev to its focus on the actual Donbass. And given the strategy now, obviously the Ukrainians are probably taking more casualties in the way the conflict is currently being fought. The Russians are claiming that 23,367. That that was way back as of April 2022, and the amount of Ukrainian forces that have been quote unquote KIA'd. So that, in terms of April, seems a little high to me as well. The U.S. estimate for Ukrainian forces as of April, so obviously things have changed quite a bit, was 5,500 to 11,000 KIA and upwards to 18,000 plus wounded. Now you have to understand, from April to now, that that number has probably increased rather dramatically. So again, difficult to say, but I wouldn't rule out that upwards to 20,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been KIA'd in the ongoing conflict. And again, you have to understand that the conflict changed quite a bit in terms of seeing a lot of Russian maneuvering to a lot of Russian very, very heavy artillery and tactical air attacks on Ukrainian targets throughout the region. So again, just to kind of surmise everything here, I would say that probably that BBC News Russia and Mendoza article, where you have Russia 4,515 killed as of the 7th of July, and then you add the 2343 from the Donetsk People's Republic, and then you don't know what that Luhansk People's Republic number looks like as well. They report 500 to 600, but they haven't updated it since the 5th of April. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,000 total Russian forces, meaning separatist forces and Russian military forces, KIA'd. I guess you could say that's possible. And but I would say that Ukrainian number is just really is just off the charts high. I mean, they're saying basically that almost the entire force complement that the Russians started with at the start of the conflict has been either killed or wounded by this number. So good way to lose credibility there, Ukraine. But I mean, that's just very, very hard to believe. And then obviously the Russian number, 23,367. So still probably a bit high, but maybe a bit more realistic and closer to what could be happening on the ground than that actual Ukrainian number. But again, who knows? I mean, the Ukrainians are reporting that 7,000 plus of its soldiers are missing. They've acknowledged about 5,000 have been taken prisoner. So again, at this stage, very, very difficult to say what it looks like. But from anecdotal reports from both some of these obviously alleged phone calls that have taken place between Russian soldiers and family members, and then obviously direct interviews with Ukrainian soldiers on the ground, indicates this is an incredibly brutal conflict. Probably we have not seen a conflict like this take place in terms of well, I can't really say that because the casualties taking place in the Ethiopian civil war probably are not too far from what is taking place. A bit this is much more of an industrialized and mechanized conflict, whereas in the Ethiopian civil war we're seeing a lot more light infantry engagements, but still on a very large scale as well. So both of these conflicts, I would say that we haven't seen these kinds of losses really since probably the Korean War, or even kind of going back to World War II, and especially in terms of the sheer devastation in terms of especially the Ukrainian conflict, with the amount of heavy weapons that are being used. It's just incredibly horrific, and we hear these anecdotal reports from the front lines of soldiers talking about if they believe this is as close to World War II as really any war is going to get in terms of just the sheer high intensity nature of the conflict, and quite possibly we're only going to see it get worse in the coming days and weeks. And I would not rule out the possibility that we really start to see the Russians come down hard on some of these targets in major Ukrainian cities, as more and more of these Western systems start to deploy and start to cause casualties with the Russian forces. Well, the Russians are going to retaliate, and it's just going to continue to spiral the conflict into the realm of just this really brutal war that we're continuing to watch. But hope that clarifies some things, and maybe not, but eventually we'll know more accurate information, obviously later in the future, as we do within the context of all wars. But that's what we have. More to come soon. Thanks for joining us.